You don't understand how these things are done. Craig, by year 10,000 South airdropping in the Allen lad, was Hollywood's golden boy. Thester of Shane, the face on millions off magazines. By 1954, he was the most popular male actor in the world. Then went wrong, he started showing gub-drunk to sets. His face changed and the scripts stopped coming. Come on, get up, you jailbird, yow killer. Get up and show me how to Orma. One night in 1962, neighbors heard a gunshot from his. What they found inside shocked Kadavirian. The official story never made sense. 2 years later, his butler found him dead in bed. The truth about what really destroyed Allen Ladd is darker than any role he ever played. Allen Ladd was born on September 3, 1913 in Hot Springs, Arkansas. His mother, a Raleigh, had come from England, hoping for a better life. But instead of finding comfort, she ended up in dire poverty. She worked small, hard jobs to serve. Even before Allen was born, life was already hard. When he arrived, it didn't get any easier. He was there on light child, and from the start, he was surrounded by struggle. When Allen was just 4 years old, he saw something knockled should. His father suddenly collapsed from a heart attack and died right in front of him. That moment never left him. It shattered what little stability they had. With no income, Ellen and his mother slipped even deeper in top poverty. She worked whatever jobs she could find, even when it hurt her. Allen, still so young, felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. 1 year later, things got even worse. Allen was playing with matches when he accidentally set their apartment building on fire. The blaze spread fast. His mother grabbed him and vandalized everything. No home, no savings, nothing. The guilt stayed with him. The tone moment pushed them into They began drifting, never staying long in one place, trying to serve on whatever work came their way. Eventually, they started moving west, hoping California would be better. It wasn't. The trip was long and painful. They were often hungry. Allen, small from years of malnutrition, looked even younger than he was. People called him Tiny. It stuck. He didn't have a chanchetto grow strong like other boys, but even with the teasing, he kept moving forward. By age 8, Allen was already working. He picked fruit, delivered neffers, and swept shop floors. Every coin helped. While other kids played his life didn't leave room for games or fun. These hard years taught him grit. He learned how to push through, no matter how tired or hungry he felt. When he got to North Hollywood High School in 1930, he was the smallest boy in the class, barely 49, but he wanted to grow stronger, so he joined swimming and diving teams. He also worked hauling produce to build muscle. Over time, his body changed. He trained hard and became a local champion. At 17, he was good enough to dream of the 1932 Olympics. But during a dive, he hit his head and passed out. After that, fear held him back. He quit the sport. Even though he had worked so hard, still he had gained something. Respect. For the first time, people saw more than just an E. In his final year of school, he tried something new. He joined the drama club and got cast in the Mikado. Hep played Coco and stole the show. A talent scout from Universal Pictures saw Hyman offered him a contract. That moment could have been the break he needed. In August 1933, he signed with the studio. Other rising stars like Tyrone Power signed too, but it didn't last. Within 6 months, they dropped Allen. They said he was too short and too blonde to lead. It crushed him, but it didn't stop him. Allen didn't give up. He took acting lessons and kept chasing the dream. Meanwhile, school dragged on. His chaotic childhood had dilated everything. When he finally graduated in February 1934, he was 20. Most of his classmates were 17 or 18. Even then, he was still just 5'4". But he had made it. He had survived fire, poverty, death, and rejection. After graduation, he tried starting a business. He opened at a burger shop called Tiny's Patio, using nickname he had hated his whole life. He borrowed $150 and set it up across from his old high school. He hoped it would help his family, who were still struggling. His stepfather, Wasik, and his mother had begun drinking heavily, but the shop failed within a year. The economy was too harsh, and the competition was too strong. Once again, he had nothing. Still refusing to give up, Allen took a job at Warner Brothers. He worked behind the scenes as a grip, lifting equipment and building sets. It was tough work, but he saw it as a way into the film world. For 2 years, he worked quietly, hoping someone would name. Then one day, disaster hit again. He fell from a scaffold and was badly injured. It nearly killed him. He had to quit the job. The fall reminded him of his old diving injury, both physically and mentally. But even then, he didn't stop. He saved what little money he had and enrolled at Ben Bird's acting school. It was a turning point, but not a smooth one. Ben Bard had taught them before when he was under contracted to. He liked Lad's look, but told him the hard truth. His voice was tooey, and he came off weak on camera. He even said Lad needed dentures because his bad teeth made him hard to understand. That criticism would crush most people, but Lad took it seriously. He worked on deepening his voice and fixed his teeth. That deep, smooth voice would later become his signature. In 1936, things took a different turn. He got a job at KFWB, a radio station in Los Angeles. They hired him as the only full-time radio actor. He worked up to 20 shows a week, sometimes 3 or 4 in a day. That grind forced him to master his voice, switching characters, emotions, and tones, non-stop. It turned his biggest weakness into his biggest strength. That voice, once called Tui, became the reason people started noticing him. That same year, he married his high school sweetheart, Marjorie Maude Harold. But they couldn't even afford to live together. They stayed in separate places for a while, and when they finally moved in together, it was only because a friend offered them a small apartment to share. In 1937, their son Alan Ladd Jr. was born, but joy quickly turned to heartbreak. Ladd's mother, A.A. Raleigh, had moved in with them. She was broke, mentally unstable, and alcoholic. On November 29, 1937, she asked Ladd for money, saying she needed to buy something from the store. He handed her the money, assuming she'd buy more alcohol. Instead, she bought arsenic-based ant poison. She climbed Deno, the back seat of Ladd's car, and drank it while he stood there helpless, watching her die. She killed herself right in front of him. That moment haunted him for the rest of his life. He blamed himself for giving her the money. The guilt never faded. It triggered the beginning of a long battle with depression and alcoholism. Ladd had already grown up with loss and poverty. Now, he carried this unbearable trauma, too. People said he became withdrawn, quiet, and sad. He was building a career, but inside he was sinking. Back in 1933, before any of this happened, he had been signed by Universal Pictures as part of a group of discoveries. They were young actors with potential, and the studio had the right to drop any of them at will. After just 6 months, they dropped Ladd. They said he was too blonde and too short to be a star. He wasn't alone. Every other discovery, including Tyrone Power, also got dropped. But their ejection cut deep. Ladd's height, somewhere between 5'4" and 5'6", was a deal breaker in a town obsessed with image. He didn't give up. He kept taking background roles just to survive. He played an extra in Once in a Lifetime, 1932, and a faceless reporter in Citizen Kane, 1941. No one knew his name. He appeared in films like Pig in Parade, The Green Hornet, and Tom Brown, of Culver, but always in the background. It was like he was invisible. After his mother's death, something shifted. In early 1939, he met Sue Carroll, a former actress who had become a talent agent. She believed in him. She helped him get roles, she guided him, protected him, and gave him the support he never had. She became a steady figure in his life, not just as his agent, but almost like amateur he had lost. Their bond grew stronger. In July 1941, Ladd divorced Amite. On March 15, 1942, he married Sue Carroll in Mexico City. She was more than just a wife. She became the foundation of his personal and professional life. She helped him feel safe, focused, and, with her by his side, his career finally began to rise. In late 1941, Alan Ladd was barely surviving in Hollywood. After almost 10 years off playing extras and nameless characters, including a quick appearance in Citizen Kane, he was still invisible. Beauty of everything changed when Paramount tested him for this gun for hire. The role was Raven, a hitman with a dead stare and deadly hands. Ladd wasn't the first choice. The studio had looked at Robert Preston and DeForest Kelley, but when Ladd showed up for the screen test with his blonde hair dyed black and a quiet, cold look in his eyes, they saw something different. Director Frank Tuttle pushed for him. The studio listened. He was given fourth billing. His name was added with the words in introducing. But by the time filming ended, he wasn't just a side character anymore. The studio wrote scenes to give him more time on screen. Something about him was magnetic before the film even came out. Paramount had already signed him to star in The Glass Key. That meant one thing. Alan Ladd was no longer invisible. To make Raven believable, they gave Ladd a dark makeover. His blonde hair became a jet black. He didn't raise his voice, hadn't smile, he barely moved, but his silence carried weight. Raven was a killer, yet he fed stray cats. Hespered the innocent. He looked like Evelyn, but felt like someone broken inside. That contrast, the violence and the pain, struck a chord. Audiences saw a new kind of character on screen. Not a monster, not a hero, just a man with scars buried deep. That role created a blueprint